Hey, this is Steven again here, and I want to talk about the pen tool in Illustrator. The pen tool is a way of making vector graphics, curves, and these curves, if you understand vector graphics, are made of mathematical formulas that allow you to form the curves and the angles, and that way these types of graphics can be enlarged infinitely without losing resolution or scaled down however much you want. You can't do that with raster graphics like a Photoshop pixel-based image. So let me show you where the pen tool is. It is right here in your tools set, and you click it, and on your artboard, if I begin clicking, and I'm just clicking and releasing, notice that you can draw in straight lines. I'm going to hit enter, and there's two types of shapes. Basically, you have an open shape and a closed shape. A closed shape with the pen tool, click release, and if I end up back where I started, and if you notice the pen icon is going to change when I hover over the starting point. You see the small open circle? That is going to allow you to close a shape. So you have closed shapes, you have open shapes, and right now these both have a stroke on them, and they both have a fill. Now you'll notice if I change the color of you have your two color chips down here. If I change the color chip, just double click here and pick a color, I can change the fill, and of course your stroke will change the stroke. You can increase the stroke here. So that's a closed object. One that's not closed, you probably don't want to have a fill on it. You can't see it now, but what happens is if it's not closed, the fill is going to be unpredictable. I didn't have it selected here. And notice it kind of guesstimates. It'll make an imaginary line back to the beginning. Anyway, if you want a closed shape, go ahead and close it so you know exactly where it is, because you'll have some issues. Suppose, you know, anyway, it's doing its best to try to guess what your shape is. Which brings me to another point while I'm here. The difference between direct select and this is your direct select and your selection tool. Selection tool deals with your whole object. I can move it, I can rotate it, I can scale it, and that's done with the black arrow, your selection tool. Okay. If I want to manipulate the shape within, that's when I would use the direct selection tool. I click that, and I'm able to move different points. These points are called anchors, and as I click one, I can move it around. I'm moving components inside of the object, and these I made with the pen tool. Now, whether you use the pen tool or your rectangle tool or any of these tools that create a path, the anchor points are the same, and there's a certain moving these points around with the direct selection tool is possible no matter how you created that shape. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about with the pen tool is how do you create curves or organic looking objects, and this is where it can get a little bit tricky, and but I'm going to just very quickly, I'm going to create a closed object that has curves, and I'm going to start, I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag, and when I drag, I have these handles coming at handlebar looking things, and the ends, these are handle points, and you have your anchor point in the center. And what that's going to do, if I click and hold and drag before I release, that's going to allow me to create curves. Alright, so I create this shape, and I want us to take a look at this for a second, and with the direct selection tool. So if I click on it, you'll notice the handles. This curve that is defined by these handles can be altered, manipulated based on the angle and the distance of these handles from the anchor point. You have the anchor point, you have handles, and the closer this handle gets, the sharper the corner. So you notice I have a really sharp corner, and you can have one handle have kind of a curved feel to it, and the other one have a sharp. If they're both all the way in, you're going to get it's basically like you click and release here. So when you're editing these anchor points, the distance those handles are from the anchor are going to control how angular or how rounded the shape is. Okay. So you can see from this example. Now I'm editing, and I'm in the direct selection tool, and I'm moving these around. What if I want to make these round again? What do I do? Because I was like, well, as long as there were handles, I could manipulate these curves. What about now that there's no handles? Oh, I want this to be round again. What are my options? Well, they're embedded in the pen tool. Well, not in the pen tool itself, but if you click the pen tool and hold down, you have other options where you can add anchor points, delete anchor points. There's one for converting anchor point tool. It's like an upside down V, turned sideways. And on that, with this tool, I can click on an anchor point, and if it has no handles, I can click and drag handles out. If it has handles, I can click and it will take those back without handles. So it's a toggle. If it doesn't have handles, you can click and create handles. If they do have handles, you can click and take it back to its sharp corner, angular form. So those are the basics of the pen tool. There's a lot more to learn about the pen tool. When you're creating shapes, you'll notice that the closer you put anchor points in, the harder it will be to make a smooth line. So just remember that, and I think I'm going to end the tutorial here, but just in summary, the pen tool is for creating open or closed shapes, and usually your open shapes won't have a fill. That's an open shape. This is closed. If you just click and release, you're going to get sharp angular points, and the angle and the curve is going to be controlled by the handles. And you can manipulate the anchor points and the handles with the direct selection tool, and you can angle the handles, pull them closer or further to manipulate the curves, and that's how you can edit your shapes. And last but not least, don't forget about the convert anchor point tool, where you can make smooth anchor points with long handles sharp, or vice versa. Click and drag out. That's the tutorial, and thanks for watching.